Hello, my name is Chadar Menestorovic and I'm a professor at the ESSEC Business School in Singapore. Today we are going to talk about the referendum. Is the referendum a panacea, that is an answer to all problems and to all difficulties? It could be, because besides the referendum there is no other way how to know what the population on a certain territory wants. We have many anecdotal evidence when people believe that they know what the population feels, but this is not true, because besides the referendum there is no other way how to know about that. On top of this, the Article 1 of the Charter of the United Nations is very clear in this aspect: to develop friendly relations among nations based on respect for the principle of equal rights and self-determination of peoples, and to take other appropriate measures to strengthen universal peace. And it embodies the principle of self-determination. So for these two reasons, we can conclude that the referendum is a necessity and also an answer to all problems. In fact, the referendum is not a panacea, because, first of all, the notion of peoples, which is indicated in the Charter of the United Nations, is not clear. So it means that any population, whatever its size, can declare that it is a people, and in that case it has the right of self-determination. The second reason why it is not a panacea is that in the same Charter of the United Nations, in the second article, all members shall refrain in their international relations from the threat of use of force against the territorial integrity and political independence of any state. So it means that the territorial integrity is a very important principle in the Charter of the United Nations. There is a mention that the integrity of the member state must be respected. So to some extent there is a contradiction between the article number 1 and the article number 2. And the third and the most important problem that we have concerning the referendum is that the conditions in which the referendum takes place are not clear. What are the referendum conditions breeding controversies? The first one is that we need an approval from the central government in order to organize a referendum. It has been done in Scotland for the Scottish referendum in 2014. It has been done also in Timor-Leste for the referendum in 1999. The second controversy is referring to the area where the referendum is going to be held. It must be defined carefully, and the problem is to identify also areas outside of the administrative region where the referendum is going to be held. And the final controversy refers to the age of participants and also to the nationality of these participants, and this is probably the most difficult task to resolve. On this paper, there is an agreement between the United Kingdom government and the Scottish government on a referendum on independence for Scotland. So it means that both governments are agreeing to have the referendum. On this map, we can identify the Kurdish regional government, which is given in orange color. So we expect that the referendum is going to be held here. But what is happening is that the referendum is also held in municipalities outside of the orange color, in areas which are controlled by the Kurdish military, and in that case we can also find out that the territorial integrity is not respected. For the referendum in Kurdistan, we definitely have a problem of eligibility, because for people to vote, they have to prove that they're resident in Kurdistan, and many of them do not have this ID documentation. The same thing is applying for the high number of Kurds who are living abroad. They also wanted to participate in the referendum, but unfortunately they are missing also these ID documents. Everyone should participate, no? This is not an easy question. So if we go beyond a quote which has been attributed to Stalin. I consider it completely unimportant who in the party will vote or how, but what is extraordinarily important is this: who will count the votes and how? We have two basic questions to answer. The first one, we have to precisely know who has the right to participate in terms of residence and in terms of nationality. The two questions are a little bit different. And the second thing, we also have to talk about the age of participants, because it doesn't mean that if we have one legal age for other voting procedures, we will use the same legal age for the referendum. For the Scottish referendum in 2014, the Scottish citizens resident in Scotland, for more than 3.5 million of them, could have the right to vote, which is normal. But added to them, we also had UK citizens resident in Scotland, for more than 400,000 of them, the EU citizens resident in Scotland, for more than 89,000 of them, and also the Commonwealth citizens resident in Scotland who could vote as well, while at the same time the Scottish citizens resident in UK and abroad could not vote. It means that the citizens from, let's say, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Singapore or Zimbabwe who are living in Scotland could vote for the Scottish referendum, and Scottish citizens living just on the other side of the border of Scotland but living in the UK could not vote. There were no specific procedures for the eligibility in the referendum in Catalonia. So in the lack of specific elements, in that case we're using the general electoral law in Catalonia, and it says that the general suffrage is open to all people who are over 18 and residents in Catalonia. This is a problem for all Catalans who live abroad. So we have about 285,000 of them, and for them, in order to participate, they have specifically to register for that. And for the last referendum on the 1st of October, only 5,000 of Catalans who are living abroad have registered in order to vote. Concerning eligibility in Scotland, there was a very curious decision to open the voting for all people who are over 16. The usual voting age is 18, as in the case in Catalonia and Kurdistan, but for Scotland they have decided that to have the enfranchising for the people who are over 16. So what can we conclude? The first conclusion is that without the approval of the central government, any referendum will be deemed illegal. And in that case, we are opening the question of international recognition of this referendum or not. Other countries can easily accept the results of the referendum, but they can also easily reject them. So we are in a stalemate concerning the international recognition of this. The second conclusion is that we have to fix the rules, especially concerning the eligibility of voters. If we do not fix the rules of the eligibility of voters, in that case we will definitely have problems concerning the acceptance of the results of the referendum. So at the end of the day, the referendum, which is presented as a panacea, is something which is accepted by everyone in order to know exactly what the population feels, but we have to fix the conditions. And the three examples concerning Catalonia, concerning Scotland, and concerning Kurdistan are showing that there are no universal rules and that every referendum is a special case.